Hey guys, this is the RumblePac Podcast. I would just like to introduce to you my lovely co-hosts. First is going to be the Charlie Day lookalike. He beat Charlie Day in a lookalike contest, so his name is Pasquale Galuzzo.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And I'd like to introduce the voice who launched 1,000 ships, Patrick Dennehy.
Yo!
Your voice is truly...
Which way did those ships go?
Back towards you, because they missed
Damn
you
right.
so much. Your voice is so great.
So we got a show to do.
I guess so.
We have a cool show to do. Because this is the culmination of everything we've learned in our very long history of podcasts, being 1 week.
It's roughly a week, roughly 7 days.
Right, so a little definition to do. We'd like to thank some people, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I don't know their names, but they were really kind enough to give us their feedback. I really appreciate it. We're definitely learning, and so we're going to learn episode to episode. We're probably going to have stuff to fix this time, too. Hopefully not as many.
Yeah.
But we shall see. So... thank you guys, and we'd like to start off like we did last week with our games we're playing this week. Patrick, go ahead.
So I've been finishing up my Far Cry Rampage, and me and my girlfriend actually finished up playing Yoshi's Woolly World for the Wii U, and she doesn't like games. It makes her incredibly frustrated. So, but I told her, this is like a very casual game. You can't die, so she was okay with it, and we finally beat it. So I don't know if I'm going to commit to finishing it. 100% because it's very difficult. But yeah, so it's been nice. It's been a good week.
Right, did you get the amiibos?
For Yoshi?
Yeah, the Woolly World.
Okay, there's a story. I got those amiibos 4 months before the game officially released in North America because the game came out in Europe and Japan 3 months before we got it. And I just thought, it's amiibo, so they're going to be hard to get. So I imported them from, France. And I paid a little extra, but I got all 3, so I did it. So, yeah, they are really cool, though. They're really nice plush figures, so I'm happy I got them. But I hate my life because I imported from France stuffed animals.
I'm stealing them from you.
No, you're not.
And you're crazy.
I am crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway. What have you been playing, Pasquale?
Well, I have still been playing Fallout 4, obviously, because that game is never ending. But I just recently bought Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I haven't started it yet, but looking forward to it. I hear good things. But, yeah, Fallout still.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed Syndicate's probably... I've played it. I haven't beat it yet because Fallout came out, but it's definitely the best one that I've played so far, and I've played all of them at least a little bit. The only one I haven't finished... the only 2 I haven't finished were Revelations and Black Flag, so...
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I played all of them. The only one I didn't play was the one that came out at the same time as Black Flag.
Anyway, see, I look at Assassin's Creed, and I just attribute it to, kind of like the Call of Duty, every summer and the other one comes out, and you're like, all right, cool, I could waste my life and play through this one right now, and we'll go back. Yeah.
So, yeah, the one that came out at the same time as Black Flag was Assassin's Creed Rogue that I started but did not finish.
That's the one with the Irish guy.
Yes, I think
Yeah,
so.
of course, he's evil. Look, I'm not going to point out the fact that it was made by guys in Montreal, but...
Yeah, the French are not a big fan of the UK.
Which is weird, considering they are. But anyway.
So, as a left turn, I've been playing 2 games. I've been playing Fallout, of course, but I'm not going to talk about that again because that's kind of been done to death over 1 episode already. So I'm going to do. I beat the story for Black Ops 3 or Blops, as the
how
kids
was
like to
it?
call it. The story was actually super interesting, and they give you a choice, which is kind of cool. And they don't ever acknowledge your gender really, but you can be a girl or a guy,
right?
And they don't really ever give you you're like soldier, they don't really give you
right.
name,
They do the typical colonel, lieutenant, right? Gender, okay,
gender neutral titles and stuff.
That's a big step for Call of Duty.
Yeah, they don't make it obvious that you're a girl. Your girl is it's not over sexualized or anything. It's super interesting.
Well, I think it would be kind of weird in the context of a Call of Duty game to over sexualize a female character.
You'd be surprised.
Really?
Do you even in Halo armor? Why do they have? Why is their boobs indented? Why is that a thing?
Why would you not?
Because that's not.
If I was a girl running around with tits and power armor, I want to make sure they're not pressed up against me.
But when you're.
But then on the flip side,
if you know anything about armor that is actually deadly, you'll die because you get hit. It'll just shatter your chest.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've played MMOs in my day, and if anything, when you hit level 50 and you run around in nothing but a bikini and a tattoo, that's the highest level of armor that you could possibly get.
That's
so I don't quite understand what you're trying to get.
I stand corrected. Yeah, I played Blops 3, and the story was actually pretty interesting and kind of confusing too, and I didn't mind it. It was longer than I expected it to be, and I liked it a lot. So I could definitely recommend it if you like Call of Duty. I think Call of Duty is a great shooter, and if you like just arcadey shooters, it has great mechanics and stuff, and that hasn't changed.
It's a good summer movie. raw action.
That's perfect, you're right,
Yeah.
and it just gets you lost. Like Fallout is a super expansive game where you have to like focus and look around for stuff, and I'm like, I didn't really feel like doing that, so I played Black Ops, and I just got to enjoy.
Turn your brain off and just kind of have fun with it.
Exactly, and that's the fun part. So yeah, that's what I've been playing.
Cool.
So now we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes. Patrick, your topic for this week?
Right. So this isn't so much a topic as it is kind of a story. Hopefully something that I could revisit in future episodes. But I like looking out for odd or interesting news that comes out in the realm of the video game industry. And this one being related to, as I've made clear, I'm a huge fan of this particular game, but The Binding of Isaac. Mostly focusing around the launch of the new expansion that came out last November. So like last month at this point. But there was a lot of controversy around it because when the expansion launched, a lot of content that was promised to be in the game was completely missing. Characters were missing, items were missing, achievements were missing. It just felt unfinished, and a lot of people picked up on this very quickly. For those of you who aren't aware of what Isaac is, it's a roguelike game where you could play over and over just to get different synergies and items. You want to get to the final floor and beat the game, which is relatively difficult if you don't know what you're doing. But they added a new mode into this game where it's not just a perpetual item or dungeon generator, but it's an actual set mode where you go through each floor and you have to try to get to the end. I know it sounds the same, but it's not. But it's greed mode. And when you get to the end of the greed mode and you fight the big secret boss, a donation machine drops down, and any money that you have left over, you can put into this donation machine to start unlocking things. So what happened was, once you got to 109 cents, it goes up to 999. Well, 1,000 technically, but spoilers. Once you got to 109, it broke on everyone's system. Nobody knew what to do with it. It just stopped. You couldn't progress past this. Nobody knew what would happen. And everyone went back to see, well, there's a lot of stuff missing in the game, and now the greed donation machine is breaking like a tenth of the way through its capacity. So this number 109 became a huge thing in the community. What does it mean? People went crazy trying to figure out what this 109 means. The Binding of Isaac has a lot of religious overtones, so a lot of people started going into the Bible to looking up the 10th or chapter 10, verse 9, and they started finding all. And the weird part is they all correlated to some form of greed or donation or charity. So it was so strange. But it went even further than that with the 109. The item in the game that was coded number 109 was money equals power. And the text to that was actually changed to, oh God, I forget what it was, but it was something like, hear my voice, or where is he, or something like that, which nobody had any idea what this meant at the time. But it went even further than that. 109, very specific. If you go back to the original release of The Binding of Isaac Rebirth last year, the secret character, which is the Lost, at this point it's not a spoiler, was data mined by people 109 hours after the game came out. The people who made the game, specifically Edmund, was very upset that they found this out so quickly. He wanted people to gradually find this. The way to unlock this character is to die specific ways with 4 different characters in a row. So it's very difficult to figure out. You pretty much stumble upon it by accident, or people data mined it. And although he never outright admitted to it, you could kind of tell he was upset that people figured it out so quickly. So in almost a way, and I don't know if this is true, but in a revenge sort of way with the 109, he paused everything and he built a narrative around this. So what happened was 109 hours after Afterbirth came out, he put a patch to the game that allowed the game to continue to expand. But there were still things missing. And it goes back to this 109 thing again, where he didn't want people to find the secret character right away. So what he did was that he didn't hide anything in the game files. Instead, he hid something in real life. So he forced people to go around looking for these hints to unlock this true secret. And it went on and on. People had to go to this, like a photography store somewhere in the U.S. with the street address name was 109. And they had to figure out to dig in a certain location to find a box. And inside that box was the new character, like a little figurine. And that was eventually added to the game. So it just kept going on. And in my opinion, it's really the only example I could think of, like a really intricate way of introducing new content to a game. Although he did anger a lot of people were like, well, where's my stuff? I paid for this expansion. Why are you blocking my progression with something so trivial? But then again, when you look at it, he actually formed a whole, like, journey of clues to find. And if you want to really look into it, you can look up the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth ARG summary, which does a really good job at going step by step all the little clues and hints and how the 109 plays into everything and how everybody progressed through solving these mysteries. But the way I look at it, he had like this whole plan, and adding this one character into the game that could only be added after people solved a real life mystery, I think it's just something that's really ingenious. And I personally, I've never heard anything done like that before in the past. I don't know, maybe if you guys have heard anything about that, but for me, that just like blew my mind. So, well, what's your opinion on that? What do you think about that? Like, this is kind of a different way of dealing with DLC, where if you want this character, literally go outside, follow my clues, and dig him up. Like it was crazy watching the whole thing evolve from like the perspective of a fan, but also just from the perspective of somebody who's interested in like how this stuff kind of plays out. Like, I love the murder mystery aspect of it.
Like, it's kind of trolly.
Oh, it is.
Absolutely.
The developers are trolly as shit.
Yeah. But it's also a very good way to build a community and make like advertisement for your game. So actually having people going out there searching for stuff, and then obviously posting it online, because that's what everybody does. It's gonna cause some uproar, so people will start taking notice. Because if it wasn't popular before, which it still was fairly, it's gonna be more popular now because they have all this other stuff going on.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool idea, but I think that, like, as a person, if I bought the game, I would have been really pissed. Because I bought and paid for something.
Well, keep in mind, and that is a valid point, absolutely. But Isaac is the kind of game where the people that got to that point relatively quickly are the hardcore top 1% of people that play that game. If you like, it is a very hard game. I make jokes about it because I'm good at it. But I make jokes like, oh, look at this scribbler, doesn't even pick up 9 lives, what a bitch. But it is a genuinely hard game. But the people that play the game, the vast majority, they're never going to reach that ceiling in the 109 hours that it took before he went to the next step.
Yeah, like I said, like, I think it's a really interesting idea. Like, the closest thing I can think of that's an example, because you said, like, have you heard of anything like it? When Infamous Second Son came out, the DLC that came with the... I think it was with the pre-order with like the special edition.
The paper trail.
Yeah, paper trail. If you remember, you have to go to their website and you have to solve clues on their website to get in-game content.
Right, yeah.
So a lot of times you would have had to. I never did because I don't have a printer.
A lot of games have done something similar to that though. That where you go into the website and you do like Ubisoft loves doing this companion apps, secondary website type thing where you could do the special bonusing. But this is something where you like people actually met up in a group of 6, went out to a location and dug up a box to find a figurine. And then this is another part I completely forgot to mention, but the figurine had a Twitter account on it with the password, and it said, "Give me your voice." So people went into this Twitter account and actually tweeted to the devs that, "Hey, look, we found it." Like, so it's just something like that. Oh, they kept it.
Yeah, so like something that actually reminds me of like there's like I guess like a meta game. I think a lot of people do make YouTube videos and stuff. It's kind of like geocaching, but with like objects and solve mysteries and stuff. Where it'll be like, okay, go find this here, and then this will link you to something else. You have to like go around cities or like in a local area. People will set it up to like solve a fake mystery or maybe a real mystery. But it's like a cool meta game where it like. I feel like because within the context of Binding of Isaac, I don't think that game is that interesting because I don't like that game that much.
That's fair.
It's a great game. I'm just not good at it, so I got frustrated and like stopped caring. To be honest, like it's kind of
that's understandable. It has a stupidly high learning curve. I understand that completely.
And I don't have the patience for that, to be honest. And like, it's no offense to the game. It's just I'm not good at it. Like that's straight
right.
Up,
I will say, however, that something like this will never work with any AAA game ever.
Why not?
Okay, this is completely off script. Yeah. We don't have a script. Ubisoft, they made Trials and Fusion.
Yes.
Wasn't there some sort of thing where there was a key that they hid somewhere to unlock a box somewhere in Paris, and they said they're not going to do anything about it for like 100 years? It's hidden somewhere.
I don't remember anything.
And there are secrets to where this key is inside the game to tell you where. But they said if nobody figures it out in 100 years, we will go and unlock the box. And nobody knows where this thing is, what's in the box, or like what even it is. But I remember, I remember reading something about it, and it just really caught my interest.
Yeah, I never heard about that, but that's something I think is super interesting. Like, I think if you built a game around the premise of finding something in an area, that could be super cool. But as long as the people that are going into the game understand that is the purpose, then they know what they're getting into, or like not make it. And if you don't tell them, don't make it a core part of the game. Like Paper Trail wasn't the main story; it was an extra story. And
Right.
if you wanted to do it, you could print stuff out and like try and figure this out the legit way. I didn't. I went on Reddit and looked up like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Isaac wasn't built like the expansion wasn't built around this idea. This was just kind of a fun little extra thing, right?
But couldn't you not? The way I guess maybe I don't understand it. The coins were part of the expansion, and you couldn't get higher on those coins, so you couldn't unlock all the content without doing this.
Right. Well, here's the thing. After the 109 hours, that cap was removed anyway.
Oh, okay.
Finding this little figurine just added the secret character to filling up the donation machine.
God.
So you could still advance, but there wasn't that end goal until the community figured out the puzzle. But again, people that got to that point were the people that were following this event anyway.
Yeah.
So they knew what was happening. Like, this wasn't for the typical player.
Because, like, could you imagine if you were playing, like... Do you guys remember... I can't remember what it's called, that Rockstar game about being a detective? L.A. Noire.
Yeah, that was a great game.
Never played that one.
That was a great game.
You should go back and play it. But could you imagine if you were playing L.A. Noire and, like, part of the game to advance in the story was to, like, figure out clues and, like, and do, like, a mind game? Like, not necessarily, like, in the world, because that could be complicated as far as, like, not everyone lives in the same city. But you have to, like, read through, like, an actual book that comes with the game and figure out clues. Like, that could be super cool.
That would be really helpful, I think, because, like, it adds more immersion, especially.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, and I agree with what you said. It has to be, like, the game has to be designed around that.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't just have, like, the new Assassin's Creed where they're set in, like, Spain, and they're like, all right, you want to continue playing this level? Go to Spain.
Yeah, exactly.
We hid this one key underneath the Pope's Colosseum, and you gotta go dig it up. Like, something like that. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, because I know we have people that listen to that. But, like, if you design the game around that idea, I think could be really cool, and I don't think anyone's really done that.
You know what you could really do though? Like a lot of games, like phone games, should do that. Like, well, that's kind of like Pokemon Go, isn't it?
Yeah.
AR stuff like that.
The closest I could think was Nintendo has a game on the 3DS called the Spirit Camera, and it came with the manual that was a book.
Oh, I think I heard of that.
And as you play through the game, you have to take pictures of the actual book, and it's all AR, so things pop up and things change.
Yeah.
But you need to like
cool.
look through the book to like so you see like a mask on the wall, and you're like, oh, I know what this is. So you go into the manual and you read up on the book, and it tells you the story of it and how to get past it. So that's the only example I could think of something like that. But if you take something like that, like you said with Pokemon Go, and you kind of bring that out into the world, not to the extent where, well, I don't know, maybe. Like, do you think Pokemon Go is going to be, if you live in the suburbs, you're only going to be able to find like Pidgey and Rattata, or is it going to be like you could see like a Mewtwo just chilling out in the middle of the street?
That's what a lot of people are trying to figure out. Because
I will go to the Amazon to catch a Mew.
I think certain legendaries will only be available in certain places, but I think they'll also be. I presume, like I haven't really looked into it, but I can presume that like they'll have random spawns. Like for this like hour only, it'll spawn a Lugia in your area, like just anywhere.
But how are they going to do that?
It's
just
online. It's a
yeah,
phone
they
game, right?
use Google Maps, no, or something like that.
Well, so my understanding of what I.
But
think
can you
would
imagine that you're playing? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you're playing Pokemon Go. You get a pop up. There's a Lugia 14 kilometers away from you.
Oh no, sorry, I don't mean like away from you. I mean like so. For example,
You have a chance of walking into one type thing. Because again, we don't even know how it's going to work if you have to go to a certain point, or if it's just going to be like
yeah. So I think like maybe regularly, like my understanding of what I understand of it so far is like regularly it'll be like only in certain areas you can get certain types of Pokemon, but or like certain legendary Pokemon will only be in certain areas, but you can get all the different types of Pokemon anywhere.
right. Okay.
And then like I would assume a really cool way to like make sure no one's like upset about that is like what a special day a year, a special like hour every once in a while you're like Lugia is now is anywhere you are.
Yeah.
And it's like a 30 an hour window, a 30-minute window where you turn on your Pokemon Go app, turn it on, and he'll be there.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember reading some sort of tweet where it'd be like somebody's on a plane and they're on Pokemon Go and then they see Latios outside the airplane, so like go after it, like
Stop
chase
the
it down,
plane
like
right now.
yeah. So it's like, will it be like that, or is it going to be like it'll just be there? That's the
I think it'll just be there and you can capture it.
yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, those are good points. So to close out the topic, I guess. So what is your opinion? Do you like this idea of obviously it has to be implemented properly for it to even work? But do you like the idea of game developers kind of hiding content? No, I don't want to say content because that comes off bad, but kind of building a story, a real-life narrative for you to play through. Not you specifically, but the community as a whole. Do you support that? Do you want to see, or would you like to see more of that in the future of gaming? Like, what's your opinion on that? Personally, I liked following it I would have loved to compete in it, but again, or not compete, but participate. But it was in the U.S., and I live literally next to 2 farms and a gas station, so I'm not going to get there, right? But to know that it's kind of happening and to follow it, I like that from a community aspect. So what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, because I think it's good because it adds a lot more community involvement. It gets people interested in the game. So, like, but it has to relate to the game. So if it's like a scavenger hunt, it wouldn't make sense with like that. A scavenger hunt would 100% make sense with Fallout if they had done that, because you're always searching for stuff in that game. But if they had done it with like Call of Duty, it would make no sense because you're not looking for anything in there. You're just going in and shooting people. So like,
I think that. Sorry.
I'm done.
You're done?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I think. Okay, that's not what I meant. I knew what I meant.
Thank God.
I'm done hearing you. No, I'm just kidding. I think that has to be done. Not with literal objects, because that would be like impossible. Because everyone lives in different places. Bethesda can't afford to fly. Like it'd have to be an AR companion app that like, okay, go look in your backyard and like search around and it'll just like randomly pop up. And that could be really cool. And I agree. I think it has to be done properly because it would have to be implemented in such a way that when you bought the game, you knew you had to be part of a community or involved in a community to figure it out. Because a lot of people might not want to do that. So if you sell a game as it being like a game you can play by yourself, and then it turns out you can't advance without community involvement, that might upset some people. So I think that kind of stuff has to be transparent so that people buying it understand what they're getting into.
But yeah.
What? Go ahead.
Sorry, okay, don't add it in as like something where you have to unlock content. Add it as an extra component to the game where you can do it if you want, but it's not necessary. So it just gives you that extra bit of enjoyment out of the game.
I think it'd be cool if you made a whole game around that, as long as everyone.
There was
aware.
a game like that.
What was it?
It was called, well, to an extent, it was called Treasure World for the DS. And the way the game worked is that there was collections and collections of items. I think there was over like 1,000 items to collect. But every time you were to pass a new Wi-Fi spot, you would get an item randomly. So the point of the game was to go out and explore and collect as many Wi-Fi IPs as you can to get more and more items to decorate your world. It was a loot collecting game. Yeah. But it forced you to go out into the real world and go places you haven't been because it remembers what IPs you've already collected. So something like that.
I think like games that involve outside objects like that are super cool in the sense of like you don't necessarily need them. Like I used to play a game on PlayStation called Monster Rancher. And that game,
Monster Rancher, yo!
How good was that game?
Don't even know what that is.
It's
Get
amazing.
out.
So the game works like you're essentially a farmer who raises. It's like Pokemon, but like way cooler. To be, in my opinion, like in all honesty, like if Pokemon was like this and had like this kind of training aspect, that would be wicked. So like essentially, you train every monster you get, and then you train, and as you train them, they get like different levels and attacks, and they're happy or sad, and that'll determine how good they are within the game at fighting, and they compete in like fist fights, essentially like Pokemon. Okay. But the cool part about the game is the way you unlock new monsters.
It's beautiful.
Certain rare monsters were associated with certain CDs. So you'd go to something called a disc shrine, and you would put a music CD, a DVD CD in your PS1. It would load the disc and then generate a monster based on that disc. And it was really cool because only certain rare monsters were associated with certain kinds of discs. So you had to like go out. Before this was like pre-super good internet. Like it was kind of like a struggle to find them before when I was a kid. Yeah. Maybe I just didn't use the internet because nowadays people would figure out in a second. Unfortunately, they would just look up what CDs to get, buy them, and then put them in. But like,
I have a small story about Monster Rancher. My friend, he's an asshole. He told me, hey, if you want Frost Golem, you have to go buy the Aqua Barbie Girl CD, and it's associated with that. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, go buy it. He's awesome. He's like, great. I'm like, cool. So I went out to a CD store, which is what we used before the internet, and I bought Aqua. It was the only CD I ever bought because I really wanted freaking Frost Golem. I put it in. I got a goddamn Suizu, which if you don't know what that is, it's useless.
There was a really great, I can't remember which CD gave it, but it was the Draco Kato.
Oh God, I don't know.
The Dragon Kato was the best character in that game, in my opinion. Actually, the best character was the Galaxy Door. I can't remember his name.
It's kind of sad that something like that won't work anymore.
You guys are literally talking
because there are people. I know, but the best part is, and this is why this won't work anymore. The second Stefano said CDs, everyone's like, "What?"
That's true, and also like the second I said CDs, everyone's going to compile a list of what CDs to get, and you'll go out and buy them, and it'll kind of like ruin the surprise.
Yeah, that was kind of the... Yeah, I agree with that. It was kind of, what am I going to get?
Like, half the fun was like, oh, man, I have this big pile of CDs, because, we had those back then, big CD books, and be like, what is this? Oh, yes, that's awesome.
Right.
Anyway, so to bring it back, so I guess the general consensus between everyone here is that these real-life events for video games, it can be done properly if it's done well, and if it's implemented correctly. Is that the general, like, you wouldn't mind seeing something like that as long as it's not too invasive and it's not something that ruins the gameplay?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
If it's invasive, everyone has to be aware of what it is.
I agree, and I like that. All right. That's good. Good talk, guys. All right, Pasquale.
Okay, all right. So my topic for the week is what video game characters are the worst enemies / most annoying enemies. So, like, just you had a trouble time fighting them. They just bug the shit out of you when you're playing against them. So just general enemies. Like, my personal one that annoyed me a lot was... I wouldn't consider it specifically an enemy because it doesn't really attack you, but it taunts you the entire time. And it is the gargoyle from the Fable games.
Yo.
And they just mock the shit out of you the entire time. I could be searching an area for 20 minutes without finding him and hearing him, like yeah, pretty much just mocking the shit out of me and just, like, trying to get me to want to kill him as more than he deserves.
Yeah.
Like...
That's good, and that's a good example because, like, for an enemy to be truly annoying, it can't just be, like, annoying to hit. It has to make you physically hate it. So, I have 3. Okay. First of all, I forget what it's called, but it was a boss in Final Fantasy X. It was a giant plant-like monster, and what it did is that every time you encountered it, it would do a big breath attack. And it'll poison everyone, but then it also has a % chance to inflict any other status effect in the game to these people at the same time. You could not avoid it. Everyone kept falling asleep. Everyone kept getting poisoned. Everybody started attacking each other. It's like, oh, what's your favorite status effect? Mine's everything. I hated this stupid thing. I can't remember its name, but the fact that I remember it exists is annoying as hell. Do you have another one?
You know what?
I have, like, 2 more.
Okay, one that would be... not necessarily annoying, but one of the more difficult video game characters I've ever fought would be Sephiroth. In anything that he's ever been in. So Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, doesn't matter. He's the most annoying character because one swing of his sword from 3 miles away will inflict maximum damage upon you, and if he's 2 feet in front of you, you just might as well die because he just looked in your eyes and that's death. So,
ooh.
Bless you.
Thank you.
So, yeah, it's just... he's impossible. Like, you literally have to be top tier video game player of anything ever. Just to defeat him.
Yeah, I agree. He's a good example of, like, there's challenging enemies, and then there's just bullshit.
Yeah.
He was a good bullshit. Stefano, what do you
bullshit.
think?
I don't really play enough games with, like, boss battles and stuff to, like, purely have, like,
not just just enemies in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't have very many annoying enemies just because of the type of games I play, really. But, like, one of the most annoying boss battles I've ever had was I was playing Deus Ex Human Revolution? Whatever the first one was, I can't remember what the undertitle is. The Deus Ex for PS3 and Xbox 360. And I was playing it, and the first big, like, bad boss battle guy, I played that game, and they're like, yeah, play however you want. Play stealth, play heavy artillery, get, health ups to like, make your cyborg guy stronger. And I decided that I want to play it where I want to be stealth, and for some reason, when I was being stealth, the guy was too strong. He had a minigun as an arm. And trying to... yeah. So I was walking around with a dart sniper rifle, and essentially none of my attacks did anything. So, like, I couldn't kill him, and the dart sniper rifle does nothing to a boss. So I had to, like, throw explosions to kill him that way, which is probably the hardest way to kill him. And I couldn't do it. I stopped playing the game and turned it off.
I got one more. Well, I got 2 more.
Yeah, all right, go ahead.
So this isn't an enemy. This is an inanimate object. Contractually, I'm obligated to speak about Isaac at least twice per podcast. But there are troll bombs, which you clear a room, the bombs drop, and they light themselves and they blow up. They used to be annoying, but with the recent expansion, they got smarter. I swear to God, no. They wait for you to get close and they blow up. If 2 of them drop, one will blow up, push the other one towards you, and then that one will blow up, even if they drop at the same time. There are mega troll bombs which follow you around the room. These bastards wait. They used to be on set timers. Now it's like if they get close enough, they will blow up. They do not care. Yeah, they're smart now. The freaking NSA, NASA has developed the goddamn technology for these troll bombs to hunt you down. I hate them. I used to be good. I'm like, oh, cool, troll bombs. I could stand away. No, they're smart now.
That's bullshit.
It is.
Because I get hit by those anyway. So the fact that they'll wait until I'm close, I'll die every time. There's no chance.
I don't know if it's intentional, but like 2 dropped and I didn't move and they waited. They sat there. I'm like, I moved a bit. The one further away from me blew up, pushed the other one towards me, and I got hit.
Has that happened more than once?
Yes.
Or? Okay, so I was going to say it might be a glitch, but apparently not.
They're evil. They're goddamn evil.
Right.
They did it. Good job, Edmund. You created freaking artificial intelligence.
So you said you had a third one?
I did. Oh, crap. I forgot what it was. Do you have another one? While I try to think, I can't remember which one it was.
I mean, I don't specifically have one, but I mean, just in general, anything that teleports or digs underground and comes up underneath you in a game, why? Just give me a chance at least. And especially the ones where you can't see where they're going, because then they'll just appear and apparently you die. And
I have one of those. Well, kind of same concept, but the Redeads from Zelda. When they see you and they scream, and you're like, "Oh, cool!"
That was actually like super scary.
I think that's where it came from.
As a kid,
they terrified me.
Yeah,
it was horrible. I was like, "Wow, okay." But that's where like all my button mashing habits came from. Like, oh my god, move! I hated them because I'm not good at stealth. You know this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You have to sneak around these bastards. No.
Wait, is this the same ones we're thinking of? Like they just scream and you can't move.
In Ocarina of Time, yeah. Where they scream like they start walking slowly towards you, and then if they get up to you, they like jump on your back and start just molesting you.
That was inappropriate for a children's game. But
have you seen some of the shit in children's game, man? Come on.
But yeah, it's like it doesn't seem. I don't remember having to be stealthy to get them. Maybe just sneaking up behind them, but I feel like they would know where you are because they turn on a pivot just like to find you.
Yeah.
To be honest, like for me, any game that involves like a stupid like a window stealth mechanic, the moment they see you, you lose in the game that's not meant to be a stealth game is annoying.
Oh god, yeah.
Like
where you're sneaking into a prison or something, and like a guard shines a flashlight on you. It's like, oh, there you are, and throws you out.
Yeah, like Life is Strange, like that scene. I'm not gonna tell you like what the context.
I know what you're talking about
because I don't want to spoil it. But that scene was super annoying.
To be fair. You have rewind powers. You can't talk today.
It wasn't enough.
I didn't say it was hard. I just said it was stupid.
It was, yeah.
Okay.
The amount of times I got caught, I'm like, all right, rewind.
Yeah.
All right, rewind.
If anything, the rewind factor made it annoying because what's the point?
It would have been nice to get through without having to rewind, but there's one part where you have this light just going in a giant circle, and you're not fast enough to get through without it seeing you, so you have to rewind it. If I could actually play that as a stealth game, that wouldn't have been so bad, but what was the point? Doesn't matter if I got caught. I just had to rewind and keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't think that scene it didn't provide any sort of suspense or scariness because you had the rewind factor. It was just frustrating.
Yeah. I think, and that's what's annoying to me in any game. Any character or any mechanic or anything that, like, stops the game, and I'm like, okay, well, now I have to, like, get my rhythm back and keep going. I hate that.
Because it wasn't it wasn't a rewind puzzle. Like, let's say, for example, if you could plan out a route, and then if you got caught, you could rewind, and that was part of, like, the puzzle. That would have been cool, but it wasn't. It was just walk until someone sees you, rewind, and walk by them.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's just personally, when a game pops stealth onto me, like I like stealth, so
you're crazy.
I kind of enjoy it, but in a way, it has to be done right. Like that, in a way, wasn't necessary. They could have easily avoided that completely, or at least made it in a way where you could get by without rewinding. So. Yeah.
I just think you have some weird, sick fantasies of sneaking past people while they don't even notice. Like, oh, what are they doing? You got that weird Voyager problem going on.
I mean, no.
You did like Watch Dogs.
Oh, no.
Watch Dogs, that was a good game. For the most part.
I'm not saying it was a bad game. I'm just saying you liked it a little bit too much.
No.
Yeah, his favorite part of the game is looking into the houses of people and hacking into their cameras.
Is that Aisha Tyler? Oh, damn.
Poor woman.
I don't like Aisha.
I like it. I think she's funny. You don't like Aisha Tyler?
This is a weird thing. I love Archer. I love Whose Line Is It Anyway? She's in everything I like. I don't like her, and it's so weird.
I thought she was funny. I thought she's really good at hosting Ubisoft's panels every year.
No, she's horrible.
Have you ever considered it because you like it? She's in there because like.
Don't dare bring that up. My brain can't handle it.
If she wasn't there, would you like it still? Like,
I think the only way to find out is to remove Aisha Tyler. Recast her, and then we'll visit this topic next week.
Yeah, fair enough.
Good.
All right, Stefano, what's your topic?
So my topic is a little more like it's about the video game industry as a whole, and I just want to ask you guys like the question of you guys suck. Why are you guys laughing at the word "hole"? I didn't realize that was good. I was dealing with 12-year-olds.
We're little kids, that's why.
Apparently. Okay.
We both individually laughed at that and then looked at each other, and it just... continue, please.
Go on.
I want an apology from the both of you.
Nope.
All right. For the sake of getting this done in a proper time, I'm not going to request an apology.
We're professional.
Yeah, I'm
Sometimes.
seeing that. So, the video game industry as a whole, I remember playing...
I can't not laugh now.
I remember playing and like learning about the video game industry before, and like the reason why I'd buy consoles and stuff was because of first party games. So like I'd buy PS3 because of Uncharted. I'd buy Xbox because of Halo and Gears. I'd buy Nintendo because of everything Nintendo makes and all Nintendo has. So that would have been like the only reason I buy a console. But this console generation, that really is proven to not be the case. In case in point, I'm going to pull up a little stat for you guys quickly. The PS4 has sold 30.2 million units in 2 years.
Worldwide or?
Worldwide.
Okay.
And Sega Genesis sold 30.75 million units in 8 years. So we're talking about, that's ridiculous. Like that is a crazy amount to sell. And so I'm wondering, and the point of this is that like that is the best selling console across the world, and it has very few first party titles. Like outside of the Uncharted game coming out, Bloodborne came out, Infamous Second Son, and
Until Dawn,
and Killzone Shadowfall. It launched with Killzone Shadowfall, didn't sell that great. It launched with Infamous Second Son, sold pretty good, sold well, but it's not like the most amazing game.
Acceptable.
You know what I mean? And so I guess my question is, and what I've noticed Sony's doing is they're leveraging third-party relations. So when you think of Destiny, you think of PS4. When you think of Call of Duty now, you think of PS4 because Call of Duty now works with PS4, not Xbox.
right?
When you think of games like most Ubisoft games, you think they're leveraging that relationship with PS4.
Not only that, but even Sony like really bought up the indie scene.
Yeah.
It used to be Microsoft. Sony's like, we're really easy to work for. Bring everything here. We don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Most
absolutely.
of the best games that are coming out, they come out on PC, but for consoles, they come out on PS4 first. What's that? The driving game, the soccer with cars.
Rocket League.
Rocket League. That's like a PS4 game, even though it's on computer. Like people think of PS4 because it's on PS Plus.
Yeah.
So I guess my question to me, I don't think first party games really matter anymore, and I think the proving factor is that Sony has sold more than Genesis has in 2 years than they did in 8 years almost, and they're outselling Nintendo by a landslide.
Well,
And all Nintendo has is first party games, and pretty much all Sony has right now are third party games. So like to me, I think all that matters is third party leveraging, and yeah. So I wonder what you guys feel about that.
that's kind of true. Like it is true also, but you bring up the Genesis. Back then, gaming wasn't as big as it is now. So the fact that it was over 8 years and the PS4 was only in 2 years, you said, I think it was? Yeah, so I feel like that makes a big difference because back then also there wasn't really many first-party developers, was there?
Well, I think there actually only really was. People didn't really develop to port games over. There were different games almost entirely on every console. They had the same names, but the games played differently because they were all so different in consoles, right? Like Ghostbusters for NES was not the same thing as Ghostbusters for whatever Sega came out at that time. I can't remember which one it was.
So then Genesis must have just had a better lineup than the other ones had. That would be my understanding. I didn't have Genesis, so that's what I would think at least.
Like for example, I think PS4 is actually outselling PS2, not in total, obviously, but
in pace.
In pace.
Yeah.
It's pace or keeping pace with PS2, and PS2 had it being the cheapest DVD player on the market to its advantage.
Right.
Whereas PS4 doesn't have that. It doesn't have that like extra casual reason to buy something. You know, so I just wonder what you guys think about that.
I agree, but not completely. I think Sony, specifically Sony and Microsoft's dependency on third-party games stems from the fact that historically they don't really make that many games to begin with. They've always been hardware makers, not game developers. I'm not saying they don't make games, and I'm not saying that they don't make great first-party games, but they never really focused on that at all. It's more so developing the hardware, whereas opposed to Nintendo, they've obviously built the hardware, but they've also always focused on first-party games. So I don't think so. Do first-party games matter? Absolutely. Do they matter to the extent as third-party games? Well, that's debatable. You have these two companies that are now like just monsters in the industry that started and developed from the point of making hardware, not games, as opposed to Nintendo, which very evenly, you could argue, looked at both. So I don't know. I don't know. I agree with what you're saying, but in theory, I can't.
I think I'm going to explain like my reasoning a little bit more. Is that I think it comes with the invention of online gaming. Because there was a time where if you had a console, your friends would have to come over and play with you. So it didn't matter if you guys had different consoles generally. Like, it mattered because you guys would be talking about different things. But nowadays, if I'm a kid and I want to play with my friends, we're going to play online, and we have to have the same console to do that. So I think it all depends on what the people who are playing the games and think of when they think of that game. So if I'm a kid playing Call of Duty, I think of PS4. So all my friends are going to have PS4, so I'm going to get PS4 and I'm going to play PS4.
You do now.
Well, yeah,
that's what I'm saying. This generation.
Within the last 2 years.
Go back a few years, it would be 360.
Right,
exactly.
Well, yeah, if you look at Call of Duty, Halo, like the stupid amount of first-person shooter games that were on the Xbox 360, right? So then the question is, well, what's the difference between... People are going to hate this. What's the difference between the Xbox One and the PS4? You have exclusives, absolutely, but... Who cares?
Isn't there some hardware specifications that are different?
Yeah, the Xbox One is shittier.
Yeah, like...
Exactly, so that's...
Well, okay, before people get mad, the Xbox One was built not in mind to be a complete gaming system. It's built to be a media system.
Yes.
The PS4 is like, we're making games.
Yeah.
So we're going to make it play games. And I'm not saying that one is better than the other. I'm just saying that so in that way there are separations.
In my opinion, the only difference is what are your friends playing.
Yeah.
If I'm in a store, like I have buddies who work at EB Games, and when people come in and ask them what console they should get, they go, what their parents will be like, what console should my kid get? If the kid's older than 13 or 14, they'll be like, what are their friends playing?
Yeah. Because
obviously if you're under 14, Nintendo. Or it should be Nintendo at least.
Yeah. Not only that, like if you just have no interest in playing with your friends, because Nintendo does not have an online system at all. I mean, they have basic, but I mean, like, if you want to play, you could play Smash online, but it's a goddamn headache to load up a map. You have to sit in a lobby and you have to load. If you want to play Splatoon with your friends, good luck.
Yeah, I don't want to if I don't want to get into my opinion on Nintendo right now, because this podcast will last another 3 hours if we talk about that. So that will be a topic in and of itself for sure, because me and Patrick have heated discussions about this.
And that's fair, but that just comes back down to the point that Sony and Microsoft advanced hardware. Nintendo's like, okay, well, advanced hardware to the point, but now let's focus back on the game. So
I think, like, in my opinion, in like reference to this topic, if you're going to make a system, you have to worry about third party, and if you're not going to worry about third party, I don't think you should make a system. Well, I think you should be a publisher and make games, because if that's clearly what you want to do and what you're thriving at, then you should be smart enough to be like, no, this is what I'm going to do. Yeah, because that might be like kind of dismissive, but that's just kind of like what I think.
That's fair.
Yeah, third party are the majority games that you'll have on your console. Like if you're going to have first party, you'll maybe have like couple by the end of the console generation, you might have like a couple dozen, as opposed to the couple hundred or thousands that'll be a third party, right? So you're gonna obviously want to focus more on that, because the idea is that the first party will generate more traffic towards your console, but it's not as much as the third party, because more people are like, that's the majority of stuff that's going to be played on there.
But that's so different now. Like, do you remember PS3? Like, when you bought a console, I bought an Xbox because I wanted to play Halo. Yeah. I wanted to play Halo. I wanted to play Gears of War. I wanted to play Mass Effect because that was a first-party exclusive, and everything else just came along with it. I would play Call of Duty on Xbox because I had an Xbox. I didn't buy Xbox to play Call of Duty. Whereas about halfway through the Xbox 360 generation, I mean, they lost a lot of their third-party games. They lost a lot of their first-party titles, and that's what made them lose. And that's what made them let PS3 catch up. But then what happened was, in this generation, for some reason, I don't understand it, it doesn't seem to matter. People don't seem to care as much now. It's all about what you associate games with. People associate Destiny with PS4, and we all got Destiny on PS4, and we all play that together. And a lot of people I know got Destiny on PS4 and play PS4. You know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting. Like,
I think it's more the marketing part of that. So, like, if they market it properly, it's going to generate a lot more revenue and buys for their console. Because I guess I don't know what exactly they did, but PlayStation must have did something better or different than Xbox. So.
PlayStation marketed to the gamers.
Yeah, they capitalized on Xbox's big mistake at the beginning. Xbox couldn't explain what they wanted or what they were at first, and PlayStation did.
Also, I think
we make games. That's it.
Also, I think it was the fact that Xbox first announced that it had to be always online to play.
To be fair,
which didn't they? I think they changed, right?
They did change that, but in all honesty, it's only kind of changed. And like, if they stuck to it, I would like to have seen what happened. They would have been two very different consoles.
It would have been a failure.
I don't know, because here's the thing, right? At least it would have been two very different consoles that offered two very different things. If I had an Xbox, I could have shared games with everybody online, and I could have played people, and like not everyone had to buy them. But now, now they're both the same. Now it all depends on what your friends play.
Well, I mean,
like
you're saying they're all the same. Sony and Microsoft are the same. Nintendo is still a separate thing. Yeah. Which I know, everyone has their own opinion, but I like that Nintendo isn't the same, because if everything's the same, then what's the point? It just comes down to the fact of who could. It comes down to nothing. If everything is always the same, then who cares? Okay, so it just comes down to, you want to play with your friend? All right, here, get this. Or if you want to play with your friend, here, play on the PC.
Okay, like I remember hearing before, at least right before this generation of consoles came out, they were saying there was going to be a TV that had a console within the TV. I don't know if this is a rumor or true or what.
Apple TV?
No, just I don't remember what it was, but there was a TV that they were going to build that had a console in it that played everything. Like, it wasn't specifically PlayStation, wasn't Xbox. So it's just
they would have gotten sued so fast.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, if they could manage to make a deal with each other where that could work, where they could put every game on the one console, but I mean, it would make so much money. First of all, second of all, it would break all this fanboy stuff of like, I prefer Xbox, I like PlayStation, whatever. Right? So like, I kind of like that idea, but also it might ruin the what's the word?
The industry?
The industry, yeah. Right?
Like, okay, so...
Well, who cares if it ruins the industry?
No, hold on.
From our point of view.
Here's the thing, right? So
wouldn't that be better for us?
No, it wouldn't, because, for example, at least to me, like, Shuhei Yoshida said it best. He said, we need Nintendo. Nintendo
is the crazy toy maker.
Yeah, they create... Not necessarily that, yes, but they also create... a generation of people that are going to play games. Like, kids play Nintendo, and they're like, yes, games. You need people to play Nintendo, so they play PlayStation. Yeah. I would not be the person if I didn't play Nintendo. You know, that's, like, just fact. Yeah. I can't argue that with anybody. That's just the way it is, right? And so, like, I guess my point about Nintendo is, and I always make this argument, no one seems to agree with me if they're really big Nintendo fans, is that if Nintendo made a console that could play third-party games, or made people want to play third-party games, what makes Nintendo special to me is not how I input in their game. It's the games that I'm playing. If Nintendo made a game that could play, a console that could play Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty as good as other consoles, and then they also gave me Mario, I wouldn't need any other console. I wouldn't need anything, because that Nintendo console is amazing. But ever since GameCube, and even N64 when they refused to put discs again, like, that was like when they started just doing things to be different, it almost seemed. Like, they just want to not be the same, and I think, like, I'm not a business specialist or anything, but I think what makes them different isn't their consoles. What makes them different is
how they portray themselves.
Well, yeah, but what makes them different is the games. No one makes games like Mario. No one makes games like Zelda. No one makes these games. Right. That's what makes Nintendo special, not the pad, not the motion control. Because everyone has done what they're doing after they did it better.
But yeah, I agree. And Nintendo's always had, well, not always, since the GameCube days. And I hate this word so much. Everyone's like, well, why? It's gimmicky. But
I mean, it is.
Yeah, it is. But this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Look, if everything's always the same, you're never going to have fun with everything because you're used to it. Nintendo's like, all right, cool. Here's a controller. Wave it around. It's like, I could swing a sword in real life. This is awesome, right? It's they have these cool ideas, but the problem with that is that these cool ideas work really, really well for their developers, and nobody else.
And so
before you go, the introduction of the gamepad, the introduction of a second screen, that's really cool for them. The other developers like, well, what do I do with this? I can't port my game to the PS3, to the PS4, to the Xbox, to the One, to all this. I could do that very easily, but then if I want to bring it over to the Wii U, well, now I need to put in more development time. Now I have to do things. Now I have to come up with new ideas. I have to increase. I have to keep paying my developers. I have to keep going to make this work. And for the most part, I have to dumb down the hardware, or I have to dumb down the software and the limitations to get it to work on the Wii U. They shot themselves in the foot. It's fun. All the first-party Nintendo games that I've played on the Wii U have been really great, especially when they actually made use of the gamepad. But everything else, like, if you look at my Wii U collection, well, you can, because obviously, podcast, they're almost all of them are Nintendo games, first-party Nintendo games. I have a couple third-party, but they're not good. And not that the games aren't good, it's just that the ports were rushed. Look at Watch Dogs for the Wii U. If you have, I'm sorry. It's horrible. Right, so I agree.
Yeah, because like to me, Nintendo invented the D-pad. They invented the joystick. You know, like think about that. Like that's so revolutionary.
It's so simple, but it's like it works.
I think this is the problem. I think they're overthinking. They feel like they have to innovate drastically now instead of mildly. Like they had a controller, they're like, okay, let's make a joystick. It's like a D-pad, but it moves better. That's not a huge change. It still functions essentially the same, just better.
It's more comfortable.
Exactly. So now, then they're like, oh, what are we going to do? Let's put smaller discs. Let's make our thing a cube. Let's not have internet. Let's have motion control.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're just overthinking what they have to change. I think they need to understand and get back to brass roots or whatever.
Brass tacks?
Brass tacks, exactly.
Brass
Basics?
roots?
Brass roots. Brass
He's
things.
thinking about Fallout again.
Can't play Fallout.
Anyway, yeah, like if they just...
New Vegas, yeah?
They are game developers. They are game developers. They make the best. They champion gameplay and they champion storytelling without overarching narrative.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Every Nintendo game almost has no narrative. Like there's like no talking almost in any of them.
Yeah. What's the most story-driven Nintendo game?
Zelda, kind of.
Not even.
I would say Metroid.
Oh, that's
yeah,
right,
I was going to say Metroid
You're
because
right,
I'm thinking GameCube days, Metroid Prime.
Well, Mother.
But yeah.
I think.
Okay.
Well, I think the only Metroid ones I played were GameCube ones.
I mean, Mother, because it's a proper RPG.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So,
That's like one of the best RPGs.
Second, I would say Metroid. But when you go back to Metroid, like, the story is hidden. Especially in the early games. Right? You don't even know what the hell you're doing there. You land, it's like, cool, where am I? All right, let's shoot this stuff.
All right. So this is becoming something
Yeah,
else. Than it actually
we're going
is.
on.
Like to summarize this, like, and I think it kind of makes sense. Is that like if Nintendo decided to make a console that made third-party games, first-party games would matter. But because they're not, third-party games matter. Because that's the only console that really creates amazing, purely unique third-party games.
Right.
So that's my summarization.
At the end of the day, we're buying consoles to play games.
Yeah.
Right? So, does it really matter? Well, okay, this is I know what people are going to say to this comment. Does it really matter who makes those games? We're buying the games. We want it for the games. So, just because Sony's putting out a game of their own from their own development crew, does that make it quote-unquote better than something that you could pick up from, I don't want to say Activision, but Activision, Ubisoft, something like that? At the end of the day, we just want to play our games.
Yep.
So do first-party games matter? If Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo wants to make their own first-party game, why not, right? I'm not saying like they should stop. I'm just saying that I guess it doesn't really matter.
It's all about what people think. It's all about marketing share.
It's weird because if you look at my Wii U collection, 90% of the games are Wii U. If you look at my or Nintendo, if you look at my PS4 collection, I think I have like maybe 2 games made by Sony.
Mm-hmm. Well, to be fair, Nintendo makes a whole lot more first-party games than PlayStation or Xbox.
Well, yeah, because they have to.
Well, of course.
Well, not only do they have to, but they have the IPs to do so.
Yeah.
Like when you think of Xbox, what do you think?
Like Halo, Gears of War.
Yeah, that's 2.
Nintendo forced themselves to do it. Because they don't allow anyone else.
Nintendo always started out with that.
Well, that's my point. That's exactly what I said when I summarized it. Like, if Nintendo decided to make a console that played all the other games,
But it also
first-party titles would matter.
So what are your final thoughts?
I was going to say, PlayStation and Xbox joined up forces against Nintendo, put all their first-party games together, plus the third-party games that are able to play comfortably on their consoles, Nintendo would be in trouble.
Nintend's greatest mistake was fucking over Sony and creating the PlayStation.
They created all their enemies that way, because I guarantee you, and I said this a few nights ago, if Nintendo never screwed over Sony, they would never made a PlayStation, and I guarantee you Xbox probably would have been made either. Because
I don't know, Microsoft represents the American side of it. But so I think something like that would have.
They had the PC. Eventually. There was no need. They didn't think they should make a console, right? So you have Nintendo, and Sony's like, "Oh, we'll make a console," and they're like, "Oh, wow, console's pretty cool. Let's make an Xbox."
See, yeah, okay. Nintendo's more Japanese, Xbox more American.
Oh, God.
PS4
Sony's the mix.
But PS4 has the majority, like a wide variety. I feel like
Yeah,
it's got
both.
a bunch of everything. So like that's why it's probably doing better right now.
Nintendo's a little bit too much Japanese.
Yeah, PS4 is the bridge between Xbox
See,
and Nintendo.
I think that's why I like PlayStation more, because I get the best of both worlds without having to dedicate one or the. Like, obviously, I would like to get all the systems so I can play all the games. But I mean, like with the PS4, you get wide variety, right? So.
All right, guys, that's it. I think that pretty much summarized our opinions.
Yeah.
That was a good topic. I feel like it was good.
Pretty good.
I like that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna go back.
I'm going to say one thing.
Oh, you son of a bitch!
With Nintendo, and the final thing I'll say, don't you dare. Final thing I'll say, the NX is going to be the breaking point.
If it's done right.
If the
NX is going to be what the rumors are, and again, these are not confirmed at all, but
it'll be amazing.
It'll break me.
I'll need it
Financially?
I'll need to get it.
No, physically, emotionally, mentally, everything.
Okay.
I'll need it if it's what it is. If it's what they're saying it is, I need it.
And I'm not. It doesn't have to be, because Nintendo could bleed themselves dry, and from a business perspective, they shouldn't.
I don't want to see that happen. I love Nintendo.
They could go for years and they don't care.
We can save
they
this
have,
topic
like,
for next week.
Yeah,
this is a whole Nintendo topic.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk about this later.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay.
So last week we brought up our favorite games of all time, and we didn't get through all 5 because we raked to ramble and talk about things that don't matter. Sorry about that, guys. Me either. I'm lying.
I like to ramble.
I hope you guys enjoy us rambling. Ramble on. Squally loves Led Zeppelin. You'll find that out, I'm sure. We're going to go on and talk about the next 2 in our top 5. So we're going to start with Pasquale. We'll go in a circle. I'm going in a circle. Start with Pasquale.
All right. Now, for me, it's always difficult to make a decision because I know I'm going to leave something out that that I'll forget about, but then I know I love, but it's just I played it so long ago. But at the moment right now, I'm thinking, because since I recently picked up Assassin's Creed, I'm going to say Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood. Because, first of all, it improves so much of what the first one should have been. That was obviously kind of a letdown, but it was it made its own thing. But aside from that, it improved upon the gameplay, and the story was great because, for me, I'm Italian. It takes place in Italy, so it just had
Really, Pasquale, you're Italian? I wouldn't know.
right.
It's a mystery.
I'm shocked myself, but I felt like it spoke out more to me because it took place in like my background's country, so like it just, especially since I hadn't been able to be there and experience it as much as was in the game. So based on that, I can go in the game, experience the actual don't do it, the actual environment of how it was. Not to mention, because mostly hasn't changed that much from that time. Obviously, the game takes place in, I don't remember, I think it was 1600s. I could be mistaken, but that back then to now, so like let's say Rome, a lot hasn't changed, especially Colosseum and all that. Like I get to experience it in the game without actually even to go there. So I like seeing what's there without actually having to spend the money to go there.
You get to live vicariously through like the game.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I like about Assassin's Creed, especially since everyone's in a different time period. You live vicariously through the game to see different locations in the world. So like, especially if I was done with like a VR, like back to last week's topic.
Oh God.
It would be amazing. You get to experience it fully.
I think you'd have a heart attack if you jumped off and did like the dive into hay with VR. Like you legitimately have a heart attack.
I'm not saying to jump off, but just if they made a game.
Oh my God, that would be perfect. I'm so sorry. I've always had this thing with every Assassin's Creed game. I'm like, I just wish just once, early on in the game, when you do a leap of faith, you miss and you die. And it only happens once, and that's it. If they were to do that with the virtual reality, it would be perfect.
I mean,
you'd actually die because you're going to hit the ground, you're going to have a heart attack, and people will die.
You hit, because there's always a wagon of hay. You hit like your neck on the wagon, and it's just game over, and you desynchronize.
To be fair, in the first Assassin's Creed, that control's really bad, and sometimes you just jumped off and didn't do a leap of faith. So I mean, you died. That happened.
Well, now they made it so like you almost always fall in there because sometimes when you don't want to, you go in there anyway.
Yeah.
But aside from that,
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying this whole virtual reality thing. It's abstergo.
But
That's it.
Yeah,
absolutely,
we're done.
Yeah. So like, I think that would be my one of my top 5.
Patrick, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I got to give it to the entire franchise of Golden Sun, which was an RPG started on the Game Boy, but what drew me to it was the summoning system that came with it, where you would go around this massive world and you would collect these djinn, and you would mash them together, and you would summon this monster of a creature to just rain down. It was your typical RPG. I don't even remember the storyline or anything like that, but it was just for me, the exploration and finding these creatures and like bashing them together and summoning a god, it just blew the mind of like 8-year-old me. and it was great because it had all the typical, all of your standard RPG elements and magic and it was a great setting, but it was just the combat system and the summoning and just, oh man, it was awesome. It was like watching a movie back in the day, especially when you have like 47 djinn and you mash them together and you see this massive summoning sequence of like a giant creature just rising from the depths and obliterating the planet. It's just everything that made Dragon Ball Z fun to watch was in this game, and I know like a lot of people they might not agree as to why this series is so good, but for me it was just the combat and the exploration, and it was good stuff. Really good. I'm
going to be honest. I've never played any of their games.
I will let you borrow it, and you can play with it.
Okay, but it does sound kind of interesting.
It's really, really cool. It's probably one of my favorite RPGs.
What was that on again?
It was on the Game Boy DS. 3DS has one? No, it doesn't. It should, but it doesn't.
I've never I've known Patrick for a few years now, and I've never seen his face light up like it just did talking about Golden Sun.
Oh, wait until you hear me about the next game. Yo.
It literally looked like he was looking at the love of his life just like across the room. He was just like, oh, Golden Sun, so good.
To be fair, I've seen him talk about Isaac, and I know he loves that game, but I've never seen his face light up like that.
Yeah, because Isaac causes rage in his soul.
That too.
That's why I love it. Isaac is the abusive relationship.
Rage is great.
Golden Sun for me is like that girl you dated in high school, but you fucked it up, and you're like, oh, I'm never gonna get that back. You think about it every night.
Don't talk to me about that.
The one that got away. Oh, guys, we're getting pretty personal here. Jeez.
God damn it, Cheryl.
They're gonna find out some. What? They're gonna find out about us eventually. There we go.
Yeah.
Talking's hard.
Talking is
for
hard.
You specifically.
Apparently.
Well, that's a good choice, actually. I've never played those games, so I kind of want to try it.
If you enjoy any form of RPGs, I would highly recommend any game from the Golden Sun series. Well, I think if you can, the original one for the Game Boy.
My top one, which will be next week, you'll know how much I enjoy RPGs, so it's fine.
Fair.
I already know.
Yeah. So for me, BioShock 1.
Never played it.
Kill yourself.
Okay.
Get out of here.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Cruel World.
I have heard incredibly good things.
No, like literally, that game, in my opinion, like I love Last of Us, but I think that's the best game of that generation. I know you don't agree. I know, and I love Last of Us. I really do love Last of Us, but
yeah,
like okay, BioShock 1. This is a series that no one's ever heard of. Okay, like. Who's Ken Levine? Like System Shock? Whatever. Like,
you mean back when it came out?
Like the first time it came out.
Okay.
So it comes out, BioShock. Ooh, this sounds interesting. Ken Levine. They made System Shock. That was a good game for PC, so no one really played it. Okay, sure. So BioShock comes out, and you get dropped into this world, and you're on a plane. Plane crashes. You're in the water, fire everywhere. You go into this lighthouse. You go into this environment that you never would have seen before. The water graphics in that game still amaze me when I look at them. Like, that's how good they are. Everything is so great. You walk down here, and you're in this world that looks like hell. Like it does a better job of showing me hell and chaos and carnage than like Doom did when I went to hell in Doom. Like this game, and like it made you feel so alone. Like you're in this place, and it the only game that makes you feel alone better is Dead Space 1. You go into this place and you're just like, where am I? Who is this? And you're figuring this out with a character that has no idea where he is, and that's the cool part. Like you're Jack, this nameless character. Like you're Jack's like. He is your character, and it's so interesting. And like the twist at the end, like I feel like it's definitely it's been enough time for I can say like, would you kindly? That twist was legendary. I was like, oh shit, that's fucking amazing. Like I was like, yes, would you kindly? And then I smashed him in the face with the golf club. It was amazing. It was amazing. Now, and this is Ken Levine's biggest problem. I feel like is his boss battles are terrible. So the final boss, Atlas, was shit. Like it was just a boring wave mission, but like that scene leading up to it when you go to Andrew Ryan and he tells you to smash his face with the golf club with would you kindly, like
okay,
my mind exploded. And the twist when Atlas is actually the guy that's helping you out, I can't remember his name in the game right now, but like oh my god, that game was amazing. And then like it was like free roam, but without having free roam. Like you could explore the entire game and go to different areas. it was kind of like a corridor shooter, but except you could find the tapes, and the tapes were super interesting, and like all the characters, and like it was creepy. It was so good. Like I can't even. BioShock 1.
Just quick recap. Can you remind me of what the ending was? Because I totally forgot. Because
spoilers.
I mean, it came out over how many 10 years ago?
No, you're fine to spoil it now. Yeah. The ending. So like you think you're like you just landed here, but you were meant to land here. Like you were actually like they created you, I think, or something. Brainwashed you. They wiped your memory and brainwashed you to come in there with the "Would you kindly." You show up.
Oh right,
and
right.
It turns out you were meant to be there.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
Atlas sent you to come and destroy Andrew Ryan or whatever.
It was the "Would you kindly" that act like his trigger word.
Yeah, that was how you got mind controlled.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And then he goes, "Would you kindly beat me to death with that golf club?" And you beat him to fucking death with the golf club.
And I think the reason a lot of people played that, first of all, just even without knowing it, because it had the Big Daddy on the block. I think it was that one.
Yeah, it was Big Daddy.
Had the Big Daddy. People see this big thing, they're like, "What is that? That's cool. I need to experience it."
That scene when the first time you meet a Big Daddy and he doesn't attack you. Unless you provoke him, that's amazing. Like a Big Daddy will not attack you in that game unless you choose to fuck with it.
Is that true?
Yeah, it won't attack you. You could essentially go through that game and not fight a Big Daddy.
I rethink what I played.
My whole life.
That game, oh man, it was so good. The little sister mechanic, and then you have that one asshole friend who tells you to harvest all the little sisters.
Oh,
bunch of dicks.
Yeah.
Any friend who said that was an asshole. Play this game, Patrick.
Okay.
Remember how I'm gonna play Golden Sun?
Did you play any of them?
No.
Don't only play 1 and 2. Infinite's alright, but you know what?
Actually, it was a totally different game.
If you're gonna play Infinite, play it first, because the other two will ruin Infinite for you. In my opinion.
Was it that time? That was a different time period,
it's
right?
It's different everything, so you could play without the other two.
All right.
Well, no, they kind of referenced the other two though.
Only in the DLC.
Okay, I never played DLC.
Yeah, it's good. So yeah, if you're gonna play Infinite first, so it doesn't ruin the other two. The other two don't ruin it for you. But yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely.
I've heard of the freaking love that this game gets, the series in general. So I was interested in Infinite, but I just never picked it up. So I don't know. I'll put it on my list.
Oh,
my long list.
Oh my god, it should be at the head of your list.
All
right. I'm striking your other list from the record. It's only BioShock now.
Cool.
Sorry,
that saves me a lot of money.
I'm glad I could help.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, my next one, I feel like for next week, the top one, is that going to be a separate one from these 5?
Yes.
No, that's the 5th one.
See, because that's why I'm confused. Because now I have 2 that are a dilemma for me that I like equally.
Figure it out on the spot right now.
It's not your favorite. It's just the last one you chose to talk about. What? I guess it kind of is your favorite.
Because I feel like my top one is different from my top 5 because there's a reason for it. Like,
I fucked it by bringing up Isaac in episode 1, so I got to think of one now.
Okay, so yeah, you did. You screwed yourself.
I know, right?
Okay, so you know what? I'm gonna say The Last of Us because just emotionally, the way that game played was like it hit me. It just like it makes you think like you're this girl's father, even though you're not. I can spoil, right? Like, has it been long enough? I'll try to avoid it.
I think at this point in time, anybody that wanted to play The Last of Us has already played it.
You can spoil that part of The Last of Us because that happens in the first 30 minutes.
That's true. Okay, so
you're fine.
The way it plays out, just like you're supposed to be like her guardian / guidance person, which is like in the gameplay also, it had, I don't know what it was, it just everything put together just felt right.
Hold on. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to have everyone have a vote here. Are we okay after Pasquale explains why it's his favorite, just having a quick spoiler discussion?
We're gonna Last of Us?
Okay, we're gonna
just
give
quickly
3, 2, 1 spoilers coming now.
Go. I haven't finished it.
Go. Okay.
Do you care?
No, I have finished it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Because at the ending, when you're like standing on that cliff and you're speaking to Ellie and you're just like, what are we going to do now? I think it was. And she's like, let's go find your brother. And something like it makes you feel like it's done. She's essentially your daughter now. Which is like, it's just like all that time was working towards that. And it was very worth it.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
How do you feel about the fact that they didn't give you a choice in what to do? And how do you feel about that choice? Like, does it change your perspective of Joel?
What do you mean, what choice? Like, to take Ellie with you?
Yeah, like, it just happens. Like, you have no, that is the story they're telling you. How do you feel about
I
that?
kind of like it because it's forced to happen. Because, like, if it gives you the choice, like, not everybody's going to get the same emotional response to what's going on.
So,
in this way, it's forced, like, the company forced you to like it the way it is. As opposed to saying, like, okay, you can leave her with them or you can go away. Like, if there was going to be a thing where it continues in another game. Like, for example, if the next game, if you had left her there, something happens where, because you left her there, it causes less of the or not zombies, but the infected to be around, because there's more of a cure, supposedly.
Why does there have to be a choice?
That's what I'm saying.
Doesn't have to be a choice.
I think that's a horrible. It's a stupid goddamn trend in today's gaming society.
Totally.
Everyone's like, "Well, why don't I have a choice?" It's a fucking story.
Yeah, it's like a movie. You don't.
Some people die. Deal with it.
There was no reason.
I hate that. It's like, well, why? Like, do I have a choice? Do I get? No, you're being told a story. Accept it. I hate this trend. I'm not saying I love games where you can make choices because that's what the game is designed around. But if you have a game like The Last of Us and in the last possible second you're like, what do you want to do? It's like, why?
Yeah,
that breaks the game.
There's no reason for it there.
It's such a stupid trend. And everyone's like, well, I want to be the good guy. I want to be the bad guy. You're playing the game. You're playing the story. If the game's not meant to have that choice, then you're not going to have that choice.
So choices is like definitely a topic we're going to talk about later. Me and Patrick were talking about
That's next week.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But in that, to your point, good guys and bad guys, like, you're telling a story. So, the end of Last of Us, did you feel Joel was a bad guy? Like, what was your perspective on that decision?
He's not necessarily bad guy, not necessarily good guy. Good guy. He's just a guy trying to look out for his daughter. But, like, it's just, like, it's what you would do in any situation. You're not going to try and, you can't save the world necessarily, but you don't want you to lose everything.
Joel was not going to lose his kid again.
He's
not going back out there.
That was probably the most relatable story choice they ever made. Because everyone can tell me right now, they'd be like, no, great or good, I totally would have let her die.
That's bullshit.
You're a liar.
If you were in real life,
first of all, there was no guarantee that would actually save anybody. They were assuming it would. There was no
it a
guarantee.
Selfish choice? Absolutely.
We're humans, man. I would have made that decision. I'd make it in games. I made that choice. And we're not going to talk about when and how I made that choice, but I made that choice and didn't look back. Because you know what? If that choice was presented to me, there's no shot.
Well, I mean, but again, like, the point of The Last of Us wasn't actually making the cure. No one cared about that. It was just
their relationship. Story.
Yeah. Honestly, it wasn't even trying to it was just trying to keep her alive to get her there.
Yeah.
But the whole point was getting her there for that reason, which you deny at the very end.
It's The Hobbit. It's not about the journey, or it's not about the quest. It's about the journey getting there.
Yeah.
Exactly. To me, the whole point of the game was this relationship between the two of them. And, like, that scene when you're looking at the giraffes, or like, like that game.
Can I just point out the very beginning of the game with his actual daughter? It broke my heart.
That game ripped my heart out and stomped on in the first 30 minutes of the game.
I don't think I've ever cried at a game, but this is the closest I've ever come to crying from a game, from a story.
I've lost Isaac runs and I cried, so I could definitely relate to that.
That's definitely
because you're just nuts.
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't get that from the first part of the game. I mean, I watched. I'm like, oh, cool, she's dead.
So this is actually a really good topic that I'm going to talk about another week. Is like the emotional investment in. I'm going to give you a sneak peek. It's the emotional investment in like fictional characters.
Yeah. But we'll focus on that later.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that right now. But I'm just saying, like, that's the perfect example of like who I am and how I react to like emotional investment in characters. And like,
all right.
Anyway, so guys, spoiler. Yep. Are we done spoiling?
Yeah, we're good.
Last of Us is amazing.
That was good. Good talk.
Spoiler is over.
Spoiler's over. None. All right, Patrick, go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to go like stupid obscure with this one. It was a game on the PS2 called Magic Pengo. Yo,
what?
So it was a Japanese game.
You're making it up.
I'm not making it up. Shut up. The way the game worked is that it was a monster training game, but you drew your own monster to create it. So the way it works is that color was a very important thing in society, and color was disappearing from the world. You had this creature finds you called the Magic Pengo, and it's a living paintbrush. So the way the game works is that you go into the menu. You know what it is, don't you?
But I'm saying this is the Mickey Mouse game.
No. It's not. You go into the menu and you select what body part you want to make. So if you want to make the head, you make the head, and then it operates as a head. And with the controller, the horrible controller that was not designed to draw anything, you draw out the monster and you make it, and you could draw horns and body parts, and you could give it limbs, and you could and you could build your monster. Granted, 6-year-old me drew a whole bunch of floppy penises, and that thing destroyed.
Jesus,
however,
6-year-old you?
Yeah. What was wrong with you at 6?
I was a normal human child.
I never drew penises.
I mean,
yes, you did. But anyway, and just going into the tournament. Well, I'm not bleeping anything. I'm proud.
You can't prove that.
Oh.
You can't prove
Going into the Coliseum and you unlock new colors, new paints. I just really like the idea of building your own monster and drawing it and creating it. And I had a lot of fun with it. Like, the very first thing you do in the game after you find this creature is you just draw a ball just to get used to it. And then the ball, like, jumps out of the page and into the world, and it starts interacting with things around it, and it jumps around. Like, and for the PS2, this, like, was crazy advanced for me. And I think it later went on to get a sequel called, like, Graffiti Kingdom or something like that. It was god-awful. But the original game was just so fun just to create the monsters and grow from there. And I don't really remember playing much like it at the time. But yeah, so I would probably give my my second one to Magic Penguin on the PS2.
Okay, I can't add anything to that because I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm pretty sure you hallucinated after one crazy night or something.
At 6?
I rented this game from Blockbusters.
Man, renting games.
I do not own it. I have the sequel.
I love
because I just bought it out of principle. But I do not have the original game.
Okay.
I will. You could play the sequel if you want. It exists,
goddammit. If I look it up, it'll show up.
That's the thing. I tried looking it up. It's really obscure. If you can't find it, it exists. I swear to God, this game happened.
We're gonna make him Patrick. Buy a copy and sell it to one of you guys.
So if anybody online actually knows of this,
if anyone online, Sony,
tweet us a picture or something, like, so we actually know it's real.
Sony, I know you listen. Send me a copy of Magic Penguin.
Shuhei, we love you, Shuhei.
And I'll do a Let's Play on YouTube.
I know you promised your allegiance to Kinda Funny, but I love you more.
Yeah, that's
totally off subject. He brought up Blockbuster. Was it just me when you walked into Blockbuster that had a kind of smell to it? That it was just like games.
It was the smell of thousands of people just like you.
Dusty carpet?
No, but it felt like, because it was N64, I would go in there to rent. So I'm just like, it was like
it's the
kind
plastic.
of the plastic. It must have been the plastic.
Okay, guys, new game smell. New game smell.
Amazing.
I don't have it.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Yes, it does. Open up a console. It smells like
a console. You said game.
Oh, you're right. I apologize. New console smell. So good.
Yeah.
Or new hardware in general.
How often are you buying systems that you know what they smell?
Well, but my laptop has the same smell. Headphones have the same smell. Controllers have the
really?
same smell.
I don't know.
Do you have a sense of smell?
I opened up an Amiibo and like it smelled really plasticky.
It smelled like
greed. I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. It
smelled
like greed and money, probably.
He's the boss in Isaac.
Shut up.
Is it you?
It's a thing that broke the community.
Yeah, it did.
Anyway.
It was pretty great.
So, actually, when you guys are talking about your games, I thought of a different one for my fourth one that I wasn't going to put before, but now that I thought about it, I want it to be here. It's going to be Aladdin for the SNES.
Shit.
I feel like we're not talking about enough older games.
I never played it.
Oh, man, Aladdin for the SNES. That game, I used to play the Genie levels over and over and over again because I loved it so much. That game, I played that game. So, like, obviously, I'm 21. I was born in 1994, and obviously, that was way after SNES came out, right? Like, I'm super young. So, like, I played Aladdin up until I got my own PS2, or I was allowed to have my own console, and I played Aladdin for SNES when N64 was sitting in my house, when PS1 was sitting in my house. Aladdin was the game I played, and Super Mario World, obviously, but whatever. I freaking love that game. It had like real soundtracks in it. It had the Genie level song was almost as good as the Super Nintendo Donkey Kong Water Stage song. The Water Stage song was amazing, obviously, but yeah, I thought the way like the platforming of it was awesome. The swinging mechanics were awesome, and I love that movie. So that's definitely my fourth game. Was
that game based off the actual movie, or
loosely? Yeah, I love that game. I played that game so many times. Same level over and over again. You could throw apples in the guards. It was awesome. And it got them so mad.
Did it have voice acting? No, wait, why would it? It
had soundtrack.
Soundtrack, but I mean, it was all like scripted on screen. Like you could see it on screen, the text of what they would be saying. They're talking.
I don't think any.
I don't know why I was thinking
SNES.
Yeah, I don't think any of those games had voice.
Yeah, I don't know why my mind went.
Did they?
I'm spoiled. We're spoiled now.
No, I don't think it was just like voice acting. That you had voice over sometimes a part of the soundtrack, but it wasn't like dynamic voice acting.
Right.
But yeah. I love those games. I played SNES more than I played any other console up until like I was an adult and bought Xbox 360 and played Halo for thousands of hours. You know,
that's a good one. I like that one. Yeah.
And I think it just like set a tone for how much I play games and like how much I love games. Like who knows if I never played that and got into it, would I be who I am today? Would you know me? You know?
Yeah.
It's kind of like one of those weird meta game butterfly effect shit. You know. I love that game. It's so good.
All right.
I think we're done.
Mean, do you want to just put in your next game? Like, well, what's the word? Like, it's not in the top 5, but it's like honorable mention.
Honorable mention.
Like, one that you would put in before we say the next week what our top one would be.
We won't explain why.
We won't explain why. Just say the game.
What they are. Sure, go ahead.
So I'm gonna say Dark Souls series.
All right.
No explanation. Just who likes the game will understand why. So
I don't.
I gotta give it to. I know I already brought up Legend of Zelda, but my favorite game in the series was Dark Cloud 1, and I'm kidding. Nobody's going to understand that. I promised you I would bring it up at least once.
Okay, you did.
That'll be a topic.
Actually, you know what? But in all seriousness, Dark Cloud was a really good game. So I would give that one just for the beta city building aspect of it.
Honestly, I want to run a poll. Anyone who's listening to this that isn't like one of our friends, I want to run a poll. Look up the Dark Cloud game, look up Zelda, and just say and vote yes or no if you think they look alike. And I also want to poll society and know how many people bought that game thinking it was a sequel.
You gotta say specifically the character on the front of the box of Dark Cloud.
Yeah, the main antagonist.
Cover art, not the game protagonist.
Yeah, the cover art compared to Link. Do you think they look similar? Maybe.
Have you ever seen them in the same room? I'm not going to say anything, but
I mean, I said similar, not the same person.
They're pretty much the same person.
But
that's my honorable mention.
Okay.
Dark Souls, Dark Cloud, Stefano?
Honorable mention.
Has to be a dark game.
Does this count Dead Space?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's honorable mention. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Dead Space 1.
Never played them.
Dead Space 1.
You've literally
play
only
games?
played
Nintendo.
I do, yeah.
like Nintendo.
Isn't this not why I'm here?
You're a minority.
No, I offer a different perspective.
Yeah.
The only one that loves Nintendo as much as you do. I don't know anyone that loves it as much as you do.
That's true.
I mean, I thought I liked it when I was a kid, but that was
that
kid
was
me.
The only option you had.
Yeah,
as a child.
but not to this extent apparently.
That was crazy, man. You're
That's good.
Dead Space 1, for sure. So, guys, thank you so much for listening. I am, again, to reiterate, I am Stefano Fontana. You can follow me at Twitter at Steph_Fontana11, I think is my Twitter handle.
Don't be too sure about
don't-
that.
Yeah, and it's Patrick, it's our co-host Patrick Dennehy.
Hello. You can follow me at... Well, actually, I've started up my Twitch account again, if anyone gives a care. You can follow me at Fairville at Twitch TV, and also at Twitter at... No. Oh, God.
Do you even have your own personal Twitter?
I do have my own personal... No, not my own personal Twitter. I don't care about myself.
So he runs our Twitter for the RumblePac Podcast, so you can follow him on there.
I do, yes.
Which is, what is it again?
You could follow us on Twitter at the RumblePac Podcast.
And Pasquale? Can they follow you anywhere? Do you even exist on social media?
I mean,
You have
I have a Twitter, but I don't think I've ever used it.
Yeah, you can only hear about Pasquale on this podcast.
I mean,
he doesn't
podcasts,
exist
or
anywhere
we'll
else.
eventually do Let's Plays and stuff like that.
Magic
So,
Tangle.
I mean, you can always hear me on there. Eventually, if this takes off, I'll put a Twitter out there.
You can follow him on the new phone game by Nintendo or social media.
Yeah, Mitomo.
Yeah, that's where you can find
mine,
Pasquale.
yeah.
Sorry?
If you pass by, I'm in.
Apparently, one of our friends has said that I look like one of the terrorists in Counter-Strike.
That is not a
Man,
compliment.
that's
I
terrible.
know it's not a compliment, but I'm just like I don't know why.
You do know that since you said the word terrorist and I in the same sentence, the NSA has now flagged this podcast.
And we're all going to die, so it's fine.
NSA, please don't. This is only about games.
Apparently PS4 is used to plan the ISIS Paris attack, so...
Was it really?
No.
Oh. I'm stupid.
There was a stupid headline that said that. Anyway.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a good podcast.
All right, sign off.
Charlie Day.
Charlie Day.
We're out. Have a great
Episode
night, guys.
2.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye.